If you're unsure who you should be buying in FPL Game Week 12, don't worry, I've got you covered as I've asked my FPL experts for their top transfer recommendation picks, and in today's video, we're going to run through them. Now, before we dive into today's video, of course, if you do enjoy any of the content that you see on the channel, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe as we are ridiculously close to hitting 21k subscribers. It'd be great if we could do that before the resumption, of course, of Premier League football and FPL. So if you do enjoy any of the content you see here, like I said, hit that subscribe button. Before we dive into my FPL experts picks as well, I do want to just say apologies for the lack of uploads over the past few days. You can probably hear it in my voice. I am a little bit ill at the moment. I've got this cold that everyone's got in the UK at the moment. It's going around. It's getting to quite a few people. I've had it for the past few days. Haven't really felt up to filming some videos. If, of course, you do see any like chops or edits in this one, it's probably where I've sneezed or coughed or done something. But I feel well enough to film. So that's where I've been for the past few days. So again, apologies for the lack of uploads. Let's take a look then at the first player that was recommended by my FPL experts. It is going to be Thiago from Brentford, a player that I am a really big fan on, especially after doing some of my own research into penalties. Of course, if you haven't seen that already, make sure you all follow me over on Twitter or, of course, joining the FPL Cartel Discord. I did post it in there and I spoke about it in length on the podcast as well this week. Brentford are ridiculously good at winning penalties. Genuinely, it's not just like a one-season thing. Every single year, they manage to win multiple penalties across the season. They know how to win them. They're definitely doing something. And of course, picking up their penalty taker, who's in very good form as well from open play threat, seems like a really smart move to me. They've also got some pretty good fixtures. Brighton, I know, recently have been a little bit more defensively astute, keeping 2 back-to-back clean sheets. However, I do expect, them to probably concede again at some point. They are a side that aren't notorious for being the best defensive unit in the league. Burnley, the worst side for expected goals conceded. Leeds and Wolves as well. Some absolutely fantastic fixtures coming up for the Brentford side, especially the Burnley, Leeds and Wolves games all being at home. Those are absolutely massive games where I could see Thiago being an absolutely wonderful and fantastic pickup. Of course, the difficulties probably are game week 14 and game week 15, I would say, is where you ideally probably wouldn't want to play him. However, if he's going to be rotating in and around like kind of your 7th, 8th attacker of your side, then I think that's completely fine because you're just playing for the Brighton, Burnley, Leeds and Wolves games. Of course, like I said, he's the penalty taker for a side that know how to win penalties. He's also scoring an open play as well. So feels just really for 6.3 million, a really good kind of 7th or 8th attacker within your attacking unit for me. And I 100% agree with my FPL experts. I think he will be a fantastic pickup if you do, of course, need a striker or are in the market for a striker. So I am a big fan of Thiago right now. I think he's an absolutely exceptional pickup. Let's move on then. Let's talk about Manchester United players, because a lot of people and a lot of my FPL experts were talking about Mbeumo, Fernandes, but I wanted to kind of just cover all of the midfielders with this United one because I've had some questions around Diallo. I've had some questions around Cunha as well. Are they going to be good pickups, Tom? Should I potentially take a look at them? Their underlying data doesn't seem too bad, especially Diallo as well. 2 goal in threats, but his XGI is looking pretty decent. I would say, of course, still the top 2 assets to go and pick up are, of course, going to be Bryan Mbeumo and Bruno Fernandes. They're both absolutely exceptionally good pickups for me personally this week. As you can see over the next 5 game weeks below, their fixtures just do look great. Everton, Palace, West Ham, Wolves and Bournemouth. After that Bournemouth game is, of course, where you're probably going to be losing Bryan Mbeumo. He will be jetting off to AFCON, so won't really be a decent or available pick at that point. However, you do get the AFCON transfers if you were to go for him to, of course, find alternative replacements. If, of course, you don't want to obviously go through that headache, then for me, I think the better asset is Bruno Fernandes, and I still hold by that, to be honest. He's just got multiple avenues to points, and I've banged on a lot about this season, because I do believe it is something that I'm trying to do with my game and try and find these players and understand a little bit better where points come from for certain players. Because I think if you can understand how decent players score points, then I think you've got a better route to kind of, replicating that with other picks throughout the season. So what I'm trying to look for is these players that not only have open play threat, but also have additional strings to their bow, whether that be a penalty, whether that be corners, whether that be free kicks, whether that be defensive contributions, whether that be they're a baseline bonus beast. Bruno Fernandes ticks all of those boxes. He has corners, he has free kicks, he can hit DEFCON, he has penalties, and his baseline bonus is currently the best in the Premier League. And if you don't know what that means, That usually means whenever Bruno does anything, his baseline bonus is probably between like 12 and 14. He adds an attacking return to that. He's probably going to come away with some sort of bonus point. And that is very, very good when, of course, you are selecting these players. It just adds up those additional 2-3 points every other week when he does go and get the big attacking return. So, that is why I like Bruno Fernandes. Doesn't also jettison off to AFCON as well. He is a little bit more expensive, but there are plenty of more strings to his bow. That's not to say I don't like Mbeumo, and I am looking at Mbeumo for my own team this week as a potential Semenyo replacement for the next few weeks, because I do see some absolutely fantastic and great fixtures to be targeting in there for him. He's actually got the third best XGI non-penalty as well. United have no European football, no Carabao Cup to worry about within the next few weeks, where it does get extremely busy. So I'm expecting both Bruno and Mbeumo to probably be very, very popular picks over the next few weeks. And I would highly recommend investing into either one of these guys. I think both as well. Very plausible option. I'm looking at both right now because, like I said, the fixtures are great. United are actually doing quite well at the moment and look like a really good attacking unit. And like I said, both of these guys as well have different attributes that I'm really looking to pick up on so far this season. Now, the other two players are Diallo and Cunha. Now, Cunha, I think, will start to become a better asset because, of course, Benjamin Sesko is is injured at the moment, and Mbeumo is the one who will be leaving for AFCON. So potentially could be playing as the number 9 for this side. So that already makes him a great pick because, again, looking for additional routes to points, we're seeing a player that is out of position, potentially playing as a forward. We all know from last year as well, he can be a baseline bonus monster. So usually when he does pick up those attacking returns can be decent. However, if I was to would I bring him in now would be the question. Probably not. Like I said, there's two better United pickups right now. The other one I've been asked a lot about is Amad Diallo, and would I potentially consider him as a potential FPL option? Again, not right now, because he's playing right wing back. I don't want my midfielders to be playing as wing backs. I just don't want it. However, where Diallo might become a good option is when, of course, when Mbeumo does go off to AFCON, he might be pushed further forward within this side, and maybe Dorgu comes in at right wing back. That's potentially something I potentially could foresee happening with this Manchester United side. Diallo might push forward. Of course, they might just keep him in and, of course, just play Mason Mount in that role as well. They've got options, or push Bruno forward. Like, they've got other alternative options. So I think that would be the point maybe where I would consider Diallo an asset. Right now, though, probably not the guy for me. I want my midfielders to be playing a little bit further forward. I don't want them to be playing right wing back, so I probably would rule him out as a pick. But the underlying data isn't looking too bad. If he can, of course, push himself further forward when Mbeumo does leave for AFCON, could make himself a really good and interesting pickup. Now, if you're looking for some additional advice from myself, I highly recommend you do check out the FPL Cartel. This is a collaboration between me and Golden Goal, another very good YouTuber within the FPL space. We are now running a weekly podcast. We've also got a private Discord, and of course, we have some members-only mini leagues as well. We're currently running a 30-day free trial. I would highly recommend you guys go and check it out. Come join the Discord. There's already a good community building in there as well. Like I said, you get to ask us questions, get your team reviewed on pretty much a daily basis. Any questions you've got about players as well, you can come and ask us in. Like I said, you've got a 30-day free trial to come and test it out, see if it's the right vibe for you. So what are you waiting for? Use the link in the description and come join us in the FPL Discord. Let's move on then to some other players. The other one that a lot of my FPL experts were talking about this week was, of course, Dominic Szoboszlai as a potential pickup. I don't like Dominic Szoboszlai as a potential pickup. If you've watched some of the videos already this week, you know that I'm not a big fan of him. I don't really see the appeal for me, to be honest. 6.6 million. He probably has been Liverpool's best player this season, but from an FPL perspective, isn't really pulling up amazing trees, is he? Like 44 points, 1 goal, 1 assist. If you flash your minds back to the goal, it was that wonder free kick against Arsenal. I haven't really seen enough for me to justify potentially going for this move. Now, the Liverpool fixtures are stupendous. Look at them. Forest, West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds. It's just a great run of games coming up for Liverpool. However, for me personally, I just can't see it being a good move or a good pick. He's also on 4 yellow cards, which is another thing that would, of course, massively put me off potentially going for Dominic Szoboszlai. Imagine he picks up a card in the Nottingham Forest game. You then lose this player for the West Ham game, and you're just going to be like, wow, that's a kick in the teeth. Or it could happen at any point, you know what I mean? If he picks up a yellow card, he could be missing out on one of these amazing, great fixtures. So I think there's just too much going against him. When, of course, he has picked up his defensive contribution points, it hasn't been in midfield. It's when he's been forced back into right back. And again, would you want your 6.6 million mid playing at right back? Probably not. And for, I would say, 0.3 million cheaper, there was Ahmad, who's also playing as a right back, but his underlying data was a lot better, with, of course, some potential for him to move further forward when Brian Mbeumo goes off to AFCON. There is still that potential. So I am not seeing Dominic Szoboszlai, for me personally, as a good FPL pick. You can disagree with me in the comments, but I don't agree with this one, and I'm not going to agree with my FPL experts. I personally don't see it, and especially now that he's on 4 yellow cards, I really can't see him entering any of my sides soon, and I personally am not going to recommend Dominic Szoboszlai as a transfer in this game week. Let's move on then to the final player recommended by my FPL experts. It's a guy that if you've watched the channel for a long time, you know I don't like Jeremy Doku, but this season, I have to say, I've been actually really impressed with Jeremy Doku. He's just looking like a different player. He's looking like a really, really good attacking player for once. He's beaten his man. He's not going back to beat him again. He's actually just, going into the box, creating opportunities for his teammates. He's actually looking like a really solid FPL pick. Like, the eye test massively being passed. I never thought I'd say that with Jeremy Doku. However, it is Pep. It is Manchester City, and his minutes already are absolutely everywhere. Some games he's playing 70, some games he's playing 80, some games he's coming off the bench and playing 29. The minutes aren't there. The fixtures coming up, they're there. I would 100% agree, they are there. But the rotation is going to be a nightmare, right? After the Newcastle game, you do then have a Champions League round. So, he could be playing in that one. Then you've got, of course, Leeds. Again, could be playing in that one, but then they've got Fulham midweek. Then they've got the Sunderland game. Then after the Sunderland game, guess what? There's another Champions League mid-round week. There are so many games coming up for Manchester City. I do feel like some of these other rotation picks for their side, also Nico O'Reilly as well, another player who is massively looking good and passing the eye test and his data's looking good. There's just too many games coming up for City over this festive period. My advice for people looking at festive period picks is pick those guys that are 90-minute men. Don't be looking at these kind of rotation, flash in the pan picks that could go off maybe 1 week, then bench the next. You're going to leave yourself with a big headache. So I like Jeremy Doku for the first time in a long time. I think he's definitely looking as a good option. But for me personally, there's just too much kind of minutes already all over the shop. We're heading into a busy festive period. I personally would not go for it for me. Let me know what you think of today's video. Apologies for the cold. I'm slowly getting better. I hope in the next few videos I sound a little bit better as well. Like I said, we're really, really close to 21,000 subscribers. So if you do fancy helping the channel out, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Make sure you're joining the FPL Cartel, and I will see you in the next video.